Oh, that's good, thanks.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's been a long time coming, but here we are.
Oh, no worries. Glad.
Yeah. Um, my first question to you is like literally what inspired your music your music your music your music vibe and your music energy? Like literally, why did you want to be in the music scene in the first place? Because I think your music is super special and super unique. So I think, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Well, yeah, it's a interesting question because like I also have asked myself that same question a couple of times, But I think, just I've been into like rock and roll since I was really young, and I was actually a drummer. I played in a rock band for about 3 years. And then obviously things escalated, when the older I got, we would always go to house parties and everyone kind of looked to me to play music the whole time because I always had like, I guess, decent track selection.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I enjoyed it, like, and then I was like, let me just take this maybe to the next level. And I started messing around with FL Studio when I was like, I think like 13 years old or something like that. Um, and yeah, I guess something sparked as soon as after matric. And then, yeah, I got my first residency at Terrace in like, I think my first year in 2017. And then I was like, yeah, I really dig what I'm doing. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Brilliant. Also, like I didn't know this. I practically found out this week about this this question that I'm about to ask you. So why did you want to create linked techno and why did you think it was important for the culture?
So it's funny enough, I actually started Linked because when I was quite young in the scene, it was very difficult to break through. I was like a DJ from Stellenbosch, and to break into that Cape Town scene was quite difficult, I found. I mean, it took me like 4 years to actually play at modular. So I think I started Link because I felt like, I also wanted to give more to the scene. I didn't want to just be this DJ. I also wanted to start a record label. Linked was actually going to be a record label, and it turned out to be more an event series,
Hmm.
and that's why I started Concept on the sideline. But I started Linked because I wasn't really getting booked, So I thought, let me start my own party and book the DJs I want to book, and I guess, create like a movement, a culture, while we're doing that. So yeah.
Uh, so walk me through the process of you like walk me through your process of like booking the DJs and all that stuff because I feel like it's important for people to understand
Yeah.
it's not just throwing the party, it's about like all the logistics that go with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like the logistics is a big thing I take very seriously, especially with like the lineups, the artworks, the location, the dates. I mean, all these things have to be like, your pinnacle like sort of thinking process when going into these things. Look, our scene isn't that big, and I feel like you have to really win people over because our sound is it's very niche. So you have to be very careful when like creating these events, and also you got to push the artists that deserve it, and also still keep things fresh. But I think, yeah, from my side, it's an enjoyable process to curate and like to, I guess, put all these people in one room and create like a really cool experience for them. So yeah, I think that's from me. It's mainly I have a bit of a team that helps me with things. So Ryan Hunter, Matt Halls, like also all of the residents play their part. But yeah, from me, I'm like more. I used to be very involved. I still am, but I also give room for input as well with the curations and stuff. So yeah,
100%. Once your party gets big, you need help.
yeah,
Your
100%.
100%. Um, you also mentioned that you also did. created a record label. So talk to me about that.
Oh yeah. Um, so concept was how can I say? Concept came, I think, in 20. It came after Linked, so it came in like 2020. And yeah, I just felt like, it was very difficult to get onto labels, and I thought, why don't I just start my own label and release my own stuff? So it was actually a platform for myself. Um, and actually, Cullen Enslin and me, we obviously started chatting, and I started releasing his music on my label, and we obviously became really good friends. And Cullen Enslin is actually one of the owners of Concept right now, so we both 50-50 with the label.
Wow.
And yeah, it was mainly just a project that we started to release our own music because I felt like there wasn't really enough record labels in South Africa that was sort of pushing our sound. It was more European labels, I would say.
Yeah.
So I guess yeah, that was mainly the driving point
Mm.
for that.
Brilliant. When you say 50-50, I know what 50-50 is, but for the people that don't know what 50-50 is, when your other partner has another 50 and you have 50. So can you explain what that is for the people that are getting into negotiating and all the stuff, if you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. So when I mean 50-50, I mean like I guess all the responsibility, all the inputs is the same. So the curations of it's divided between us. So we always speak about, okay, cool. Say demos are coming in. Before I say yes, let's release something like this, I always send it over to Cullen, get his brief on it, and yeah, the curations come from both of us, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Cullen actually concentrates more on the mastering. I do more the curation, but like I said, we always trying to do the creations and the various artist releases, the EP releases together. It's more just looking for the future of the label, of how we're going to proceed with the sound and the vision and everything.
Yeah, 100%. My other question to you is like I need to tell you something because your creative process and your creative mind is crazy, like in a good way. Because I've never seen someone so consistent in my not there are two people, but you are one of them because I'm like, how important is consistency in this game and especially in the techno scene?
Mm.
What, in your perspective, how does that how does that give you does that have make you have pressure or does it make you feel good inside as well? uh in pressure in releasing and all that stuff, does it give you pressure or is it okay? What's the person what are your thoughts on that, if that makes
So
sense?
yeah, no, that's a good question. I would say like with our scene and like obviously our sound, there's a very strict sort of sound barrier, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm obviously just speaking on my own behalf, but like I like the consistency because you know that you know what you're doing, and it's very sort of easy to pick up where you left. But I
Mm,
would say it is very restricting sometimes, especially in production. Like I have projects that are, very sort of off of what I'm doing right now, but I still enjoy it, and I would love to release something like that. But, say I had to release that track or that EP, people would kind of be like, like, what is he doing? Or, it's like just that very big shift of change that people might not, understand. But I feel like, yeah, you do need to be very consistent with releases, with the lineups that you're playing on, just all these kind of things, but in a very progressive way. You kind of have to, progress in your brand, and yeah, the consistency, I like it. I would say, it does put a lot of pressure on me sometimes, especially just like only with the production side of things. But there's been like times with even in events, like you got to stay consistent to the linked sound. So you kind of have to do the curations like to fit the brand. And sometimes you want to push newer artists and stuff, but you just know you don't know if they're there yet with the sound, and like sometimes you just can't be as versatile as you want to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so it is restricting.
For me, I feel like you're not restricted in a way. I understand what you're saying, but I've never I listen to a lot of techno, and I listen to a lot of like weird techno, not weird techno but unique techno. And your sound is very unique. I'm not saying this because I'm a fan of yours. I'm just saying it because it's super unique as well. Um, but can you please walk me through one of your tracks that you created that really changed my perspective on production and DJing in general. Um, so it's called there's a lot of your songs that I like, but your recent EP made me cry so much that that's why I wanted to reach out to you. And no, yeah. So what inspired your recent release and all that good stuff? If that makes sense.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the kind words about the productions and stuff. Yeah, I mean, so when you mean the latest release, is that the one with Yaku
Yes.
or yeah,
So,
with Kova?
yes, both. I mean both.
So that's it's funny enough that that EP that later or the last EP was quite a versatile EP, I would say,
Mm,
or one of my more versatile EPs.
yeah.
I think it was yeah, it was 5 tracks.
Mhm.
Um, so it actually yeah, like most of the tracks were quite old. They've just kind of been sitting in my vault of productions, but the one newer one was Bushland Rhythm. And obviously, I got a lot of inspiration from artists like Maron and Rene Wise with that one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did a couple of different techniques in the studio like that I wouldn't normally do.
Mhm.
And I recently incorporated a bit of hardware in that EP. So that was very like eye-opening for me. And yeah, I guess like just the whole process of coming into like making that EP. Two of the tracks were obviously a little bit older, but then the more the I think it was Bushland and Nawaz, and I can't remember the other track, but basically they were all just kind of put together in the space of maybe 2 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah. There's a lot of thinking goes into it, but it's also like once you get something started, you can kind of run with it.
Mm.
That's why when I spend time in the studio, I kind of, if I start on something, I try to get as far as I can with the specific concept before I walk away. Just because like you can't just come back and like oh like tomorrow or the next day and then kind of pick off where you left, you know? So
Because because I think because I think your music can't do that. You can't you're not not in the sense that you can't do that. But if you're playing like the sound that you're doing techno, but your kind of techno needs you to make sure that your tracks are like fully done, almost done, so that you can kind of have an idea of where you are at. So when you end up finishing it, you understand where you're at, if that makes sense.
yeah, 100%. I mean, most of my tracks I would say aren't like they're not like finished tracks or songs. It's more like tools. So artists would, I mean, like if you look at what I repost on Instagram a lot of nowadays is it's other artists playing my tracks in like with other tracks. So it's more like a layering tool. So I try to keep my tracks very basic, so I don't spend that much time on everything structure and sound design, yes, but I would say like my tracks aren't like some of the tracks are full tracks, you can play them on their own, but most of them actually I picture my tracks with other tracks, if that makes sense. So yeah.
100%. My other question to you is, what inspired your why did you think it was important for you in your career to do modular? Because I know modular is modular, so
Mhm.
it's a big deal. But I want to hear from you. Why did you think it was the right move for you to do modular?
Yeah. Um, so like when I came into the scene in 2016, I was just playing house parties and doing kind of my thing, like every DJ starts out.
Yes,
Then I got my first residency at Terrace, which
yes,
was in 2017.
yes.
And then from there, I pretty much was trying to break into the Cape Town scene. So then I started Linked and we had our first rave, I think it was post-COVID or something. And that's when I sort of broke my name or my brand into Cape Town. And funny enough, my DJ name was actually called D State back then, and then it went to Darren Steyler. And then I was striving to play modular, because I used to go to modular. Like I had endless nights in there, like supporting some of my friends. I would kind of just go into modular, have a good night there, and I would always picture myself DJing there. And I was like, I'm gonna try my best. And it took me 4 years. Took me 4 years to get there. My first set, I think, was in 2021 or something, or 2020.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but yeah, it took me about 4 years to get there on that stage. But once that first call came up, I was like, yes, 100%. I'm definitely gonna play. Played my first set there, and it was just amazing. The crowd was amazing. And funny enough, I played Ant Club before I played Modular.
What?
So yeah, uh, and
Okay.
Ant Club was a very, very big treat for me. One of my most like Modular and obviously Ant Club, my favorite clubs to play at. So yeah, and then obviously the residency came not long after that at Modular, and now I'm happy to curate events there and push other artists as well as myself, and obviously Linked.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I'm basically learning so much from you. 'Cause I feel like because the reason why I'm saying I'm learning so much from you is because people are so focused on the goal
Yeah.
that they don't look at the hard work that goes into it. So you said it took you 4 years to get to modular, and then you did Ant Club before that, and then you did other events after that. So what is the biggest lesson you've had to uh portray in that perspective, and how has that maintained your energy, and how has it helped you grow as an artist as well?
So I think like if you mean it in a sense of progressing to your goals
Yes.
in the scene, I would say, it's the most important thing is stay consistent and progress in that consistency. So don't like go where the hype is. Like stick true to your sound and because there's a lot of like hype going around and then everyone jumps on the hype and like they forget like okay, why am I really doing this? And if you're just gonna chase the next hype the whole time, it's you're not gonna really progress. You're just gonna. I'd rather stick to your roots and keep going and progress on your sound. You're gonna be learning, like with production. I mean, even if you've been producing for like 10 years, you're always gonna learn something new, and your production is always gonna get better. That's how I feel. But I say, yeah, set goals for yourself, realistic ones, and don't aim super high. Aim like where you can aim, and then just get to the next one and keep going up. And
And then you
so,
can reach
so
for the stars.
yeah, and support parties. Like that's the most important. There's a lot of artists out there that, say they want to play at these events and they want to play at this club or this establishment, but they don't support them. And I'm not saying financially. I mean, just hop in the guest list even, and just come support the artists. So yeah, I think that's always very important because you also need to, put yourself in those environments. I mean, this, especially our scene, it needs as much support as we need, we can get, So I think that's very important. Um, but yeah, I guess progressing, like if you're also just an artist that's playing a very good selective techno, I think also try and mix it up, try and progress yourself into maybe producing or making your own tracks, maybe start like a collective, an event series. There's always a lot of other things you can do besides just being on the decks that kind of influence your brand in the end of the day. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And understanding what your brand is. You
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean that's so well said. I mean, like when it comes to yourself as an artist, there is so much that people perceive you as, and that and the main thing right now is like it's Instagram. It's if they're not coming to your shows, it's just kind of like online presence.
Mhm.
So I guess it's very important on what you like put out there. Even if you're not putting out the best version of like what you're wanting to put out, like even in production, like I've got tracks in my vault that I don't think would see the day of light, but putting that stuff out there, there's a lot of like people would like that, or some people would like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's a very fine line with it, but progressing and staying consistent, consistency is key, I would say, especially in our, because like promoters want to know what you're doing, but they also want to see like a consistent like progression.
Yeah.
So when I mean consistency, I mean, because I say it a lot, like I mean staying true to your sound, not changing too much, but still keeping it interesting,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
understand what you mean. See, like, cause I feel like nowadays, like especially in our scene, or I might be tripping, but in my perspective, I think there are two things that are like really missing or really needs to be fine tuned. I think people are really so focused on the TikTok trends, the TikTok trends. I understand TikTok is important. I understand Instagram is important. It's a way of engagement and
Yeah.
everything, right? But also you need to understand what kind of artist you want to be and what kind of DJ you want to be or what kind of artist you want to be so that you are able to one have the right people around you, have the right management around you. If you want management, that's up to you. If you want to go overseas, you can go overseas. If you want to go local, then you can do it yourself. But all I'm saying is, I'm like, just fine tune who you are and fine tune the branding. That's all. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the most important. Fine tune your art. I feel like people are so focused on the gig and all the stuff, and they don't realize how much work that goes into it and
Yeah.
how much energy that goes into it. And
Yeah. Like your brand as an artist is it's the same as nurturing a brand that is a product, so you can't like you can't just keep doing the same thing, but you got to keep consistent, but you also got to like be you got to give something new as well, fresh. So yeah, I mean, even with the whole social media thing, like it also depends on like what kind of artist you want to be or how you want to portray yourself. But yeah, I mean, like I personally wouldn't like use TikTok or anything like that, but Instagram is kind of the only sort of platform I would use.
shocked,
Um,
very shocked.
yeah, but I mean, look, TikTok, hey man, like get your brand out as much as you can using all of these tools. I mean, I studied marketing, so I know social media
Oh,
marketing
you kidding?
is
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Okay, okay.
yeah,
We need to dabble into it. I didn't know
yeah.
this. I don't,
I mean, look, staying underground as much as possible in our type of scene is probably the best. But nowadays, yeah, I feel like you do have to. from some point of view, kind of use social media to your benefits.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, you also got to engage with more people very, very more quickly, I would say. Not everyone can come to your shows, so like, because we're all the way in South Africa here, you
Yeah,
know. So
100%. Um, I'm very curious. I'm really curious. I'm sorry.
yeah.
But how did you come? How did you? I do marketing for a living. So why did you want to do marketing? I understand why everyone wants to do marketing, but why did you want to do marketing in the first place? And how has marketing helped you grow as an artist and all the good stuff, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So I studied marketing straight after, no, I think it was 2017.
Yes.
So yeah, that was obviously in Stellenbosch, and
Mhm.
I studied marketing because yeah, we have a family wine farm, so basically I was going to go more into the marketing for the wine and stuff, and I like the concept of marketing a product because in the end of the day, I want to market something that I'm passionate about, so. Yeah, and obviously that helped me with marketing links, with marketing my label, myself as an artist. It kind of gave me a lot of tools, and especially the social media side of things, like that whole online presence. It really did help me a lot. Um, but I mean, I'm not really, I would say, uh, like tech savvy or like, social media, like intense because I actually only got Instagram when I was, I think it like first year or something. So,
Crazy.
most of my friends all had Instagram in like primary school already. Yeah,
That's crazy. Oh my word, that's
yeah,
crazy. So tell me something. I also know that you signed to Tenfold.
yes.
Why did you want to do? Why did you want? Why did you think it was the right move to make? Because I feel like being signed is a blessing, but also being signed to the right brand is also important. Sorry, to the right management is also important, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So obviously I knew Brendan and Levi from like when I came into to the scene, and they were very supportive. They also helped shape like, and what I am today with like how I'm playing and just like what gigs I'm taking, they always gave like very good advice and very positive feedback when I was ever playing. And finally they came back to me the one time and they were like, do you want to play under tenfold, And at the time I was getting quite a lot of gigs, so I was, how can I say, I wasn't really keen on doing the admin all the time,
Mm.
like chasing after promoters and like, and I also wanted that extra, just that extra guidance, to like kind of say like, oh, we shouldn't take this gig because of this or that. It was more like they were kind of like looking after my brand as much as I was, and I guess at the time, I wanted a manager, I wanted to be represented as well. And yeah, they've been very very supportive and very good, so yeah, I'm happy with them.
Mm-hmm. In your perspective, as an today's artist, do you think is it important to have a manager, or do you think being independent is the right way to go? What are your thoughts on that?
So I guess it's management is not for everybody. But I would definitely say if you are playing a lot of gigs and you don't really have the time to kind of like go over the admin, or you want someone to take over that burden, of just kind of looking after you and making sure that you're getting the right gigs with the right equipment. There's a lot that goes into it, I mean, I've played at parties where I've rocked up and there's like a controller in front of me and I'm like, what, and I need that Allen Heath. So, it's more about your manager looking after you and making sure that you're getting the right equipment, you're getting your respected fee, and obviously there will always be negotiation, but I feel like it's important to have a manager, especially when you're playing like say in the month, maybe every weekend. Especially if you're also doing other things, like if you got a job, 5 to 9, it's good to have a manager, as well to look after you.
Mm. My other question to you, I'm going to give you five more and then I'll let you go, if that's all right.
Yeah, 100%.
My other question to you is, what would you tell your younger self if you could tell them anything?
Uh, my inner self, if I have to tell them, oh, if I have to tell myself something, I guess, yeah, stay like stay true to yourself, stay humble. Like, when I see a lot of artists becoming like, as soon as they're getting booked more, they kind of go off the rails with. I feel like you need to stay humble, stay true to your sound. You got to think like, why did I start this, Like, what was the end goal? Or is there even a goal, But yeah, I would say just, yeah, I guess stay humble. That's my thing.
Mm. And I think also just just be willing to learn and be like, I'm,
Yeah, be open-minded,
yes,
you
yes,
know?
and just be believing in yourself enough to be like, I can actually do this. Because
Yeah.
this industry is not for the weak, if that
No,
makes
no, it's not for the weak. It's very intense out there, socializing every night, portraying yourself the way you need to when you're out. And yeah, I mean, like, got deadlines with projects, late nights, it's unhealthy, you're always drinking, and it's hectic,
Yeah, 100%. I also know that you're going away. Going overseas soon. Or
Yes.
am I tripping?
Yeah, no, no, I am.
I do my research, so just
That's good, yeah.
um. So how do you prepare for that, and what is your routine when you do big shows like that, or yeah, shows in general?
Well, yeah, it's like I prepare like any other show, But I think when I'm that side, you're also playing for a different crowd, and a whole different community. So I guess it's more just about, like I'm also trying to find more shows while I'm up there.
Mhm.
I'm actually going to France first, so I've never played in France actually, so that's going to be quite an eye opener.
Crazy.
Apparently in France, the Afro scene is very big right now. So there's a lot of like obviously more underground techno places that I'm gonna check out.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've played in Amsterdam, played in Berlin, but I haven't played like the I guess the main clubs yet,
Mhm.
which I'm very very keen to see or experience. But preparing for these gigs, it's many like anything else, Like I don't really prepare too much, to be honest with you. I just make sure that I have like I guess a very big track selection, so I can be versatile on the floor depending on the night.
Mhm.
But normally when I prepare for sets, I will sort of get a vibe of what I'm wanting to start off with, and then hopefully end off with. But I don't do track selection choices or anything like that, like on the spot.
Mhm.
Everything is yeah, done like in the sets. So yeah, I don't really plan too much. I hate planning.
Um, I'm different because I'm like it honestly depends. If it's something if it's something like a techno set, I don't have to prepare.
Yeah,
But if it's something if it's another genre, then you have to prepare because it's not necessarily your warehouse. It's your warehouse, but you know, yeah,
yeah. No, but techno, it's free flowing. You gotta. It's in the moment. I always feel,
yeah.
and you shouldn't be restricted when you're playing. Like you should feel the crowd. I mean, yeah. For me, like for instance, when I go to Ant Club and I play, I've never ever with Toy Toy or even Underground Africa, I've never prepared a set. I've always just arrived and I sort of dance for about an hour to like a hour and a half just to kind of test the floor, see what the people are doing, and then obviously it like I don't know, it always happens, but as I come up, I kind of just it clicks, like okay, I'm gonna start with this track, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna see what happens from there, and I kind of get in my groove.
I
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think when you're seasoned like you are, like you are very seasoned. I'm not going to lie. Um, there's no need to prep that much, or you just know how you feel and how the vibrations are going to vibrate, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, my other question to you is, what is like the best thing what is the best advice you've ever received that you have taken with you with everything you do? Like, because I feel like it's important in this game. You have to have advice that will change your life, or do something that is remarkably special, if that makes sense.
Um, I have to think now, but I would say uh, if you're not doing what you love, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, so like there's a lot of, artists that are playing like I guess a genre that they don't specifically want to be playing. They like I love a lot of different music. I mean, I'll be honest with you, if this was another lifetime, I'd probably be a drum and bass DJ, to be honest with you. Like, and that's you know what I mean? Because I love drum and bass, and I guess like yeah, it's I think you just got to love what you're doing. And I love techno, so I mean, if you keep pushing your own boundaries within, like you can get really far. Like especially if you put a lot of time and effort into something. It's like a sport, If you just keep at it, keep mixing, keep training, put hours on FL Studio or Ableton, you will see results.
Yes, 100%. I think also for me it was like I understand what you're saying, but my biggest issue is like there are two things for me. My biggest issue is like I like techno, but also like other genres. I don't
Yeah,
want to also be boxed up because I know everyone else is doing techno. Like the hard techno is trending right now, if that makes sense. Or like I'm like I love techno. I love it to bits, and I wish I could play it every day, but I can't because like everyone is like you not have to, but you're in a certain area that you have to
yeah,
not to, kind of like adjust, but not too much. But if that makes
yeah.
sense. So what advice would you have for me for in that regard, or do you have any?
Uh, well, I mean, yeah, being versatile is it's not a. I mean, being versatile, if you have that, I guess if you can be a versatile DJ, that is such a good thing to have. Um, so I mean, like, I don't really have like a physical thing I would say like stick to, but I would say if you really enjoy all genres, then like, try and just, it's like a language, like, just try and learn more like subgenres or something. But I guess being a versatile DJ is not it's a really good thing to have. It's a skill,
Mm,
if I have to say it like that. But
yeah.
I mean, like if you're producing, I would say, sticking to a certain like genre would be important to do because people would like sort of recognize you or characterize you into a subgenre of sorts because they know your style. They want to know like, okay, that's a Darren Steyler track. I mean, without even looking at it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That,
But
that,
yeah, I mean, I would say just if you love what you're doing, like that's the most important. It's you don't have to put yourself in that box.
Okay, brilliant. My second to last question to you is like my favorite song from you is called Vibration, and I'm like literally I cry every time I listen to it. What inspired that, and like what headspace were you in when you created that?
So that track I actually made with a new piece of hardware I had obviously gotten like I think probably a week prior, and it was actually the Behringer Neutron, this thing right here.
Yes.
Yeah, this thing. So
Yeah.
I made the bass line like the lead the bass. So actually, the bass line was a lead, and I changed it. I downpitched it, and it created this like very like sort of jumpy, sort of bouncy kind of type feel.
Mhm.
And then it became the bass line technically.
Mhm.
And at the moment, like the track was called a Rene Wise project file, just because I had the whole Rene Wise EP in my head.
Mhm.
And so he did inspire that the sound. And at the time, a lot of my tracks they didn't have vocals in them, and I felt like there was something lacking. I needed some type of energy, something to um, yeah, I guess give it that that extra energy. And the first time I played it was at Underground Africa in and I received a very big like yeah good reaction out of it. So I personally love the track, so thank you for bringing that up. I actually don't play it enough, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
Because I feel like it's one of my favorites because I like all your music. No, and I'm not joking with you. I love all your
Thank you.
music. Uh,
Yeah.
but that particular track really solidified me as a DJ, as me as an artist in general. And for that, I would like to say thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
My last question to you is in your if your life was a soundtrack, what song would it be?
Well, it definitely won't be a techno track. But it will, I would say, look, I mean, my favorite song, my favorite band is actually Nirvana, and I think a lot of people by now know that, because I post about them all the time.
Uh-huh.
But it probably smells like Teen Spirit from Nirvana. I mean, that was the first track I listened to when I was young, and I listened to that whole the Nevermind album on repeat,
Yeah.
and that's where my love for music came in, and then I became a drummer, and then it kind of went from there. But I would say I listen to Smells Like Teen Spirit Nirvana like every day of my life. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
I was like, mine went Blink 182.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, that's a good band.
That's crazy. Very, very strange, but like I learned a lot from you. 'Cause I was,
Yeah.
I